this.
Welcome to the webinar. We are here to introduce ourselves as workers, researchers, and service providers in the field of emotional wellness and competency assessment. Because these are the two key areas which are affecting the corporate world in the present context. And therefore, we chose this topic, optimizing performance and promoting emotional wellness, with a view to provide solutions to all such issues which sometimes do not get the importance that they deserve in the corporate world. Emotional wellness, an area which is affecting humanity at large, especially those who are now engaged in work of different kinds, where pressures of from different areas of different types actually take you or make you a prisoner of your own mind, where you are not able to gauge as to what exactly is happening to you, which is affecting your performance, your domestic relationships, and other things. So we decided to introduce a new concept, a new idea of an emotional wellness index, and introduce different tools to judge your emotional wellness, our own emotional wellness, by ensuring that we are able to figure out those areas for you which may have some impact, an adverse impact on your life, on your health, on your mind. So that's about emotional wellness. Now, besides emotional wellness, no worry, no tension, healthcare private limited also decided to work on some other areas of human resource development which affect employer-employee relationships, the vertical mobility of employees, the process of selection and promotion, where it becomes difficult for both the employer and employee to think in terms of having a solution where your own competency is properly tested and you get results which will help you run the business very well or run the corporate very well. So we had a competency assessment department which is headed by one of the most eminent psychologists of this country who has been on board of several boards. I'll introduce him to you a little later. Let me also tell you that in our part of the world, especially in our part of the world, the lack of a synergy between a psychiatrist who provides medical care to patients of, say, mental illness or emotional unwellness, synergy between a psychiatrist and a psychologist who tries to read the mind of the person who has emotional issues or stress or anxiety or worries or tension or anything that it may be that affects your emotional well-being, that synergy has been lacking. And we have been fortunate enough to have two very eminent people from both these areas with us working together, and their work has now been recognized all over the world internationally, the competency tool as well as the tool to measure your emotional wellness, not one but several of those tools at different levels to screen and to diagnose. If there is an issue that needs immediate attention, that synergy has been achieved by our two eminent experts sitting on my left. One is Dr. Sandeep Bora, a very well-known name and face that you are aware of in the field of psychiatry and psychiatric analysis, psychometric analysis, psychoanalysis of individuals who have undergone or who are undergoing all kinds of issues related with their mind. And we have on my extreme left Professor Anand Prakash, a man with whose name the psychology department of Delhi University became famous in the last 10 years or so. Internationally renowned psychologist who has contributed immensely to not only the research and development in the field of psychology as such, but specifically in the field of human resource development, especially in terms of competency assessment tool, etc. Now, with this in mind, we thought it would be better for us to have both of them here, Dr. Sandeep Bora and Professor Anand Prakash, to take us forward in this webinar and to enlighten us on how can we help optimize performance, optimize potentials, and promote emotional wellness so that we are able to give and do the best for our employees, and we are also able to take from them the best that they can. Thank you very much. I am delighted, and it's my proud privilege to welcome you all and to introduce Dr. Sandeep Vora to you. Dr. Sandeep Vora, I hand it over to him now.
Thank you, Professor Malay. Friends, as Professor Malay has already mentioned, wellness in the corporate world, and based on what we have been seeing of late in last few years, that emotional wellness issues are cropping up every now and then. We really hear so many different types of news, whether somebody is getting upset and leading to from simple as road rage of a milder form to as extreme as committing suicide. Looking at all these incidents, it becomes important for all organizations in the world to lay emphasis on emotional wellness, which have been long neglected. So the plan of today's webinar is to first show you a presentation, and then we would appreciate all of you to ask us as many questions as you want. So let me start with a brief presentation on today's topic. How do we optimize the emotional wellness in the corporate world? Yeah. So, as you know, that emotional disturbance and stress has impact all over the world, and especially in organizations where you have too much of work, sometimes very hard targets, and very less time. Yeah. Next, please. So the problem is with everybody, for all stakeholders, whether it is the corporate management, whether it is the employees, whether other people associated with their families of the employees, families of the management, everybody has some issue or the other. So emotional issues at workplace, if you see, every alternate person has some issue or the other. If you look at these figures, as in Economic Times this year, June, 46% of workforce in Indian organizations suffer from stress. Similarly, 42.5% of corporate employees suffer from depression. This is again ASSOCHAM in 2016. And again, in the same ASSOCHAM has said that rate of emotional problems such as anxiety and depression has increased by 45 to 50% in last 8 years. So if you see, then the root cause is always stress. And estimated economic loss due to mental health conditions in India, if you see, is $1,030 billion. And if you see, it's something which is very, very alarming and important. This figure is by World Health Organization. So let's see what happens at workplace, which all of you are aware, because all of you would be facing this situation daily. If you see organizational level consequences, that because of stress or emotional issues, there is poor retention, high absenteeism, low commitment, and job accidents and or substance use. And if you see at employee level, so the problem is both from top to bottom and bottom to top. If you see at employee level, then poor job performance, relationship issues with co-workers, superiors, staff burnout, suicide, and or homicide. Again, the cause behind each of this is stress. What gets measured gets managed. Now, it's important for us to know that we are actually saying all this, but there has to be some ways in which we can actually assess the degree of the problem. You can say somebody having a problem by looking at him or her, but sometimes you are not aware, but that person has it. So, Nobody No Tension Healthcare, our company, has actually is going to present a bouquet of tools to assess stress and emotional wellness, which means that our aim is to work towards emotionally balanced, stress-free, customized, performance-oriented corporate culture. So we have lots of tools, but for this presentation we have 4 tools to be shown to you. We have stressometer, we have emotional wellness index, we have emotional competency tool, and we have emotional quotient tool. And based on the requirement, which I am going to tell you how and when you require this tool, we can actually go in such a way that is a win-win solution for both employees and the corporate or the organization itself. Basically, this is what the whole concept is all about. If you see at this GIF, if you look at person who's entering is white, which means looking at a person, unless until that person is severely stressed or has some gross symptoms, you can't know the degree of the problem. So our tools, if and when used by an organization or by any person individually, tends to actually tell that person or the organization to what degree the problem is. So we have graded responses depending on the different colors, and as you can see on this GIF that the person goes through this stressometer or another tool, and the degree of the problem is assessed. Once the degree of the problem is assessed, then the person himself or the organization comes to know whether help is required or not. So you can see different colors. Green color means that the person is perfectly well, but other colors indicate the degree of the stress, which varies from case to case. The stress assessment tool, the stressometer, actually tends to cover all the 5 major areas. It's very common if you see that if some untoward incident happens, for example, some grossly violent behavior happens in an organization, it is the organization which is blamed. Or if unfortunately some employee commits suicide, then it is again the organization. If it is happening in the work hours, that is to be blamed. But the fact of the matter is that an individual has various areas from where the stress is coming. So our tools help us not only to assess the degree of the problem the person is having, simultaneously the tool delineates from which area of that person's life the stress is coming. And the 5 commonest areas where we would say that emotions tend to fluctuate or become dominant are work life, home life, your circumstances, how well are you able to cope, your coping resources, and how is your body or mind adjusted to that particular situation. Similarly, another higher level of assessment would be emotional wellness index generating tool. In this, all these areas, we go areas tell us what is the emotional wellness index, whether the person is normal or has wellness of a varying kind, which could be from mild, moderate, severe to profound. Emotional sustenance tool, if somebody says that he or she is normal, but still there are areas where we can work upon for that person to sustain that normalcy, and for that we have this emotional sustenance tool. Again, all these tools are basically rating scales on a software platform, and the beauty of the product is that you can actually handle simultaneously thousands to lakhs of people all over the world, irrespective of their geographic location, and the logistics of going to a clinic are not at all involved. Similarly, we have a competency tool. These 2 tools, Professor Prakash will highlight about the importance after my presentation. Again, many times, especially with HR, you hire a person, then you feel that person is not fit for the job. So this tool tells us what is a lock and key combination for that person. So if you have multiple roles, where will that person fit in? And this is how the report comes, a brief report. Once we do this, once a group of employees are given all these tools, then we actually provide individualized solution depending on the report generated. And customized clinical solutions are there for employees and employers. Employees, if there are issues in their life, we can help them by providing solutions of various degrees depending on the degree of the problem. And for employer, we can highlight anything happening, particularly in any particular area of their corporate or the organization, in a zone-wise, location-wise, or department-wise, so that the rectifiable measures can be taken by the organization. The most important aspect is that each and every report is totally encrypted and 100% confidential. And we, as a policy, will not disclose the report to anybody except to the person for whom the report is generated. So the value additions for this unique holistic competence analysis would be that we can focus on the whole corporate from top to bottom or bottom up approach. And as I mentioned about all these 4 tools, now once we have given tools and there are issues, then this is followed by counseling, medical intervention, lifestyle solution, and training. Many times there are no issues in the life, but the person is not trained, or training could be soft skills, or training could be related to the person's own field. Specific services available as per the need of the corporate or the organization are preliminary screening of stress or emotional wellness. We can actually screen a group of people in your organization, or second, there could be HR specific areas in the organization, people in the organization where the HR people feel they require counseling for that particular group. We can actually focus on exclusively on that group. We can give services for the entire workforce in any way, which would mean screening and counseling, which could mean screening, counseling, and medical health, or which could mean all 4, including lifestyle education. The most interesting aspect is that there are no logistics involved. It is not in which you have to do something majorly big for a group of people at a mega level. It is just connection, and online you can connect with us in any way on a software, or on a computer screen, or on a mobile screen. The most important aspect from an organization point of view is that once a group of employees or a group of people, as desired by the corporate or the organization, has been screened, then we will make a report without giving the names of those people, so that that particular corporate management specialty is helped to increase the efficiency of the workforce. And this is how something like this, the post-screening, the data analysis report is generated. Once the report is generated, we actually work with the organization by sitting with the management and guide them that how the efficiency can be improved of the organization, how the burnout can be reduced, how the attrition rate can be reduced, depending on the problem being faced by the organization, if any. Thanks for your attention, and now I would hand over Professor Anand Prakash to add to what I have already shown, and after that we would appreciate all of you to ask us questions as many as possible. Please.
Thank you, Dr. Vora, and thank you, Malaji, for introducing. I am sure all the members who are logged in at this point of the time would be getting an idea that what we are aiming at through this webinar. It has 3 facets. First, you learn about that how you can maintain your emotional wellness or deal with the stress. And second, identify reasons that what is leading to stress. Why employees, organizations, management, or public in general experience stress. What is the reason for experiencing stress and how that can be stressed? How that can be addressed. They can be addressed psychologically, that can be addressed medically, that can be addressed by providing training. Now the second part of this webinar deals with how do we understand that why this stress or how this wellness is disturbed or stress is caused. And there could be multiple reasons, but we are interested in addressing it by drawing our attention to 2 primary reasons. One, either there is some kind of misfit between the individual and the job, or there is some kind of a misfit, the second reason, some kind of a misfit between the individual and the situation in which he is doing the job. This could be two primary reasons. If you are experiencing that kind of misfit, which is leading to stress, and if stress is going beyond the capacity of your management, there are ways of dealing with it. One should not allow it to put you on the mat or make you feel completely out of control. But here is also time to ask for help. And one should have necessary amount of courage to ask that I am stressed and I am not responsible for the stress, but let me ask for a help that how the stress can be addressed. And the first step of asking for help is to know how much stress, how much emotionally disturbed we are. And here is a tool which will help you assess the quantum of your stress, the quantum of emotional distress online. Generally, Dr. Vora, how much time this test takes?
Professor Anand, it's just 10 to 15 minutes. How much time you are taking? It's 50 to 55 questions depending on the tool we are using.
Okay.
So it's a self-rating questionnaire. The person is supposed to answer truthfully or give her own well-being, and immediately the report is generated. As soon as you click the button by answering the last question, the automatic response comes, which actually tells them exactly the degree of the stress and the areas from where the stress is coming. And after that, if they feel that they require help, they have another button in which they will click, and immediately they can get an appointment with the counselor if required.
Okay. So in my understanding, this is a very wonderful tool of addressing the problem of stress, experiencing stress or feeling emotionally off balance in the work life. And the off balance could be seen in 5 phases as highlighted by the tool. Either it is because of the nature of resources which are being used, or it is also because of the circumstances, or there are issues related to the work life, or there are challenges related to mind-body connections, or there are issues which are in the home life. This individual is surrounded by these 5 facets, and they are affecting me. So one way that we know that we have assessed the tool. So we have assessed and know how much stress is there. Is it within normal range? It is beyond normal, or it is moving to some kind of a pathological dimensions. Once we have identified, understood, then the time comes for its redressal. And I think the emotional wellness tool, which is available with no worry, no tension, healthcare system, will very effectively, and as a psychologist, I can say that it is one of the very effective tools. And there is a very interesting paper published based on this, and a couple of papers are coming in the journal to tell that how effective this tool is both in assessing and addressing the stress. Now I come to the second part of it, which says that why this misfit in the work life when individual is being caused. This could also be because of the misfit between the job and the person. Why do we feel misfit? Either I am asked to do a job which is beyond my competency, or I am placed in a situation which I am finding very difficult to manage. Now how do we assess it right in the beginning? And for this system, no worry, no tension, has the second online tool, which is called the Competency Assessment Tool. Competency Assessment Tool is a combination of subjective, projective and objective situations by which we can have. This tool normally takes 55 to 50 minutes but provide a very comprehensive assessment into the 9 areas of competency, though originally it addresses 14, but right now we are ready to assess the 9 competencies in different areas of the work. And if the organization are thinking of developing or evolving competency-driven HR systems in which the recruitment, assessment, development and retention of employees are the issues beside their emotional health and beside their optimal performance, then I think competency tool and emotional tool would be the right choices for going ahead with it. Let me give you some details about the competency assessment tool. Competency assessment tool assesses online your level of competence in 9 areas. And these 9 areas is drive for results. So whether the person has actually drive for results and he can reach to the final results in which the organization is interested. The second is that whether the person has the optimal customer focus or not. If he is more engaged in fulfilling the processes and the bureaucratic procedures but misses out onto the customer, then the person's competence is suspect, and that needs to be assessed and addressed. The third is the timely focus, whether the time dimension is there or not, whether the person can optimize. Time is also a resource, and friends, perhaps time is the only resource in life which cannot be deposited in a bank. So either time can be utilized on time or it can be lost and wasted. There is no mechanism by which we can deposit time in the bank and make use of it later at our own convenience. And this is the competency. As the way it is being defined by many scholars, that timely utilization of the resource is also competency, and this tool helps you assess that the person has the timely focus or not. And then comes, which is a very important and critical aspect of the competency, the interpersonal effectiveness. The person may be a great, competent person technically, functionally, but when it comes to working with others, the person often has been seen to making a mess of it. So how to work with a person who is different from you, how to work with a person who has a diverse perspective in life, that you have to work in team, so you can really find out that the interpersonal effectiveness is there or not. The next competency is people development. So as soon as you move to the managerial roles, it is very important that how do we develop the other people. People focus, or whether you are a people person or you are only a task person. And this aspect, this dimension of competency will help you assess that how to create a good combination, whether there is a good combination of person versus task. And then comes the team functionality. The next competency is the team functionality. How to work in teams. Teams which are functional, which are cross-functional, right? But teams, as you know, are different from the groups because teams are created according to projects. So you have a project, you create a team, and whether team members can work together and deliver the results, the desired results, and can also create a customer delight, whether the customer is internal or the customer is external. So this will also, and the another two competencies which are very critical and very personal, whether it is taking ownership or not. And this is considered a very important competency into the HR parlance. I do everything, but I don't own it. I only own the positive aspects and I don't own the negative aspects, then that is not the ownership. So this also can be assessed, taking ownership, and then finally with the standing pressures. Whether the person can take on pressures or start cracking under the pressures. And if the person is cracking under the pressures, then of course it is inviting vulnerability and contaminations. Whether it is a pressure caused by stress, or it is a pressure caused by time, or it is a pressure caused by certain socio-cultural political circumstances. But the ability to take pressure is something very important. On the go, this will assess. And then you can say that whether your competency, and it is a benchmark against the best practices, it is also benchmark against the average performance mean of the group. And knowing it that whether the particular competency in a person is according to the average, or it is above average, or it is the excellent. So you get 4 colored aspects of the competency, and then you can really see that whether the job requirement and the competency requirement into some kind of an optimal fit. And I feel if a person is emotionally healthy, right, and being able to assign a job according to this competency, then the optimal performance in the organizations can be ensured. These set of tools, a bunch of tools, online, on go, and that's beautiful phrase. According to modern contemporary IT-driven environment, and on the go, am I right, Malachi?
Yes.
That's how the phrase catches. So on the line, on the go, you can log into on your own computer, take this test, and with the press of a button can generate one-page report which can be used for self-reflection, which can also be used for inviting some kind of interventions or counseling, or also to feel good that, well, I'm managing everything but my wellness is well within the range that I can manage. But the moment we start sensing, no, it is making me feel cracked, or it is going beyond my capacities, here is the time for us for help. And we have a team of a dedicated, very professionally trained set of people who will be able to provide address and also ensure that your data, your confidentiality is 100% ensured. However, further research can also be taken it up if the organizations and corporate are interested in knowing that what is the demographic profile of the people who are experiencing more stress or who are feeling emotionally disturbed. Is it related to certain kind of functions that people working in a particular department are experiencing more stress, or people in general are experiencing more stress? So what are the trends? What is the pattern? What is the demographic profile? If organizations are interested in knowing the details of these, then that can also be provided by subsequent research, and research can be shared into proper form. Finally, before I close and invite questions from you, it's very important that handling stress, managing stress, and negotiating between the expected level of competency and the actual competency available with us, how to deal and negotiate this gap. We can also provide certain kind of a training, certain kind of a resource building and capacity building, both at the organizational level and at the individual level. We have a team of dedicated professionals and people who take up this job, customize solutions, and deliver the results so that the corporate can address some of its problems which are interfering in the optimal utilization of the resources, because we essentially believe that the people, individuals, are the best resource. And if the best resource are not put to the best work and best performance, then there's some kind of a wastage which is going on, and that wastage needs to be arrested and taken care of. Thank you very much for listening. And I think from our side, all three of us would welcome questions if there are any, and then try to address it.
Professor Prakash, we already have questions in the form of written questions we have. So I'll take the first question, which has been asked by Ms. Das Gupta, and she has asked that, can you tell me any common day-to-day ways of handling stress? Ms. Das Gupta, it's a very important question which you have asked. See, first and foremost, we have to understand what are the ways in which we can avoid stress. Now, avoiding stress would mean you should have, from your side, you must have all the resources to handle stress. For any person, that would mean many things which are in the person's hand, many things which are not in person's hand. So, as an individual, I would say anybody who comes to me, I say that you have to first focus on yourself, your well-being, which would mean taking adequate 8 hours nighttime sleep. I know it will sound very alien to most of us that how can we take 8 hours sleep, but that is the fact. Sleep, good and healthy sleep for 8 hours actually ensures us and makes our brain resilient for the next day. Besides this, if you have anything on your mind, you must speak about this to anybody. It could be any of your friend, well-wisher. Don't let things bottle up inside you. Besides following these two things, you have to understand that our day-to-day activity tends to tire us. So any exercise, yoga, pranayam, brisk walking, gymming, any sports activity, meditation, all these are antidote to stress. So depending on your liking and the availability of place nearby or other issues, you can actually handle things in a much better way. But remember, most of us do not realize when are we going into a stress zone. So you have to look for those signs and symptoms. That would mean either you from inside are feeling something, or people who are your loved ones are pointing at some of the symptoms, which I would like to highlight: inability to concentrate, feeling low, unexplained restlessness, insomnia, sleeping too less, sleeping too much, appetite variation, eating too less or too more, or your family members telling you that you are behaving somewhat not your normal self. It could be irritation with family members, irritation with colleagues, like that. The list is long, long, long. And besides this, the most important aspect is the physical aspect of the mental wellness, which is usually reflected once you are going through this stress and it has become chronic. It gets manifested in the form of hypertension, diabetes, precipitation of bronchial asthma, or irritable bowel syndrome. These are very commonly felt physical symptoms which any one of you can easily identify. So these physical parameters come to us late, but if we identify and are able to handle stress at a much earlier stage, then these things may not actually become the problem which they become ultimately. So these are the ways, and this I have answered, but there could be specific reasons to specific people. So based on that we can do. And somebody has asked about the URL, so you can all go on to No Worry No Tension website, noworrynotension.com website, and you can ask, you can go for stressometer test, and you can ask for any questions, and we will be there to help you. Okay.
I think there is another question. What comes first, task orientation or people orientation? Right? This is often being asked, but I think task orientation, if the task orientation, task is coming to you as a something which is happening, something else is told by somebody else, then it should also happen that who is going to do it. So task orientation may come first because organizations and corporates are created to do jobs. But at the same time, I think simultaneously or almost immediately after the task, it is the people orientation that should happen, that how it will be done, who is the right person to do it, even if it has to be get it done by others, or you have to take help from others, then who is the right person who is going to take me? So the task, if you put me compulsorily to answer this question, then I will say that the best matrix will come, which is a 9x9 matrix managerial, but task comes first and immediately after the people orientation followed, so that the best combination of both can yield the desired results.
Okay, now the next question is how to be effective when there is so much to do and comply with the deadlines.
Yeah.
So you talked about time,
yeah,
Mr. Time. So can you just throw some light on this?
This is true that if you have to do too much with the deadline, then it is a challenge of setting your priorities. How do you set priorities? You can't expend time. You cannot manipulate. Though many corporate people try to manipulate time, right? But manipulating time could be a challenge. It can only be handled by prioritizing. So what is the most important and what is least important? How quickly you can prioritize depending on your own antecedents and personal history of the work. And once your priorities are in place, then I think deadline issue can be handled.
And what I can add is that for any person, if the person is too confused, so it's better to write down all the tasks on a piece of paper, 1, 2, 3, 4, for that particular day, and then actually from the person's own perspective, decide which one is the most important. The most important work should be done the number 1 as number top priority, and gradually the priority list can be changed, and depending on the degree of work, degree of importance, and the amount of labor required, you can actually modify it. So the best way would be to jot down all the points, all the tasks you have, and then prioritize.
Yeah, and also as prioritization is very important, but before you reach the deadline, I think it is important to remember the timeline. So once you have set your timeline, once you have decided that you will be able to finish this work by this time, your own timeline, and then if you can negotiate the deadline and appropriate it to converge with your timeline, I think that is the best thing to do, rather than just keep nodding in a commission and saying, okay, I'll be able to do it, and then getting stressed and oppressed and getting anxious and worried about the whole thing. So timeline and deadline, these are two different things, and both should be dealt with separately. Okay, the next question. Well, there's no question here, but we'll be very happy to answer more questions. Any question of any type that you may have.
Exactly. 2 minutes.
Audience views 92%. Well, since there is no question coming from you, can we avail this PPT? Yes, we will share the PPT with you very soon. It will be available on our website. You can have a look at it. Not to worry. This is Neerav Trivedi, or you send us your email address, we will send you a copy of the PPT. Mr. Trivedi, if you can hear us, email ID, and the PPT will be posted to you.
The question is how to handle if the stress is personal. Now, this, Mr. Trivedi, the type of the problem you are having is very important for you to share. So, depending on the personal problem the person is having, we actually tailor make the solution. So, somebody could be having problem in his personal life, somebody could be having problem in professional life, somebody could be having problem in achieving targets, somebody could be having problem with his nature. So, for anybody to actually get the solution for the personal problem, I would suggest they can connect with us, take our counselor's help, and actually after spending sufficient time and after understanding their problem, we can give them, address all the issues and give them the solution.
Also, I think Dr. Vora, Mr. Neerav Trivedi has asked a good question that when the stress is personal. And my view as a psychologist, this stress is always personal. If it is systemic stress or it is a professional stress, there are mechanisms of handling it. Only when I think most of us feel at a loss or feel disturbed, when our own personal resources are not adequate to handle a matter. Am I right, Dr. Vora?
Absolutely, sir.
So stress has always to be personal because it is located inside the psyche of the individual.
Right, but I think in the way in which we can help you handle your stress, which is mostly personal, as Professor Anand Prakash has very rightly pointed out, is by helping you in analyzing the reasons behind the stress that you are facing. It could be personal, stress is personal. If you are affected, others are affected. The counter effect could be there. The what you call collateral impact would be there of your stress. But if you want to analyze the reasons behind your stress, then only you can arrive at a solution. So what we do through the tools, most of which are automated and open for you to use, is also to tell you where is the stress emanating from, where is it germinating from, what are the factors which need to be checked at that level where your stress doesn't become overpowering for you.
I think we can write down.
Any other question? Well, thank you very much for being a part of the webinar, and we hope that we were able to, sensitize you to a level which you may not be. However, we feel that you are all aware of this issue, the problem. The problem is looming large over all of us, including the corporate world, and the solutions which are products of long period of research being carried out with the help of eminent academics all over the world, here in India, also in the US. We have been able to give you a very, very bird's eye view of the solutions that we offer. However, I would still say that please try it out. Haat Kandan ko aaj seekh kya, as they say this. And if you try it out, you will see how best you can be helped. The website is noworry.notensions.com. As you can see here, it's all one word, noworry.notensions.com. We are writing it for you. And we are inviting you to come and see it for yourself by doing the test as to what are the issues which may be there with you, which may not be recognized, and which can be handled, and which can take the stress off your head, prevent any such physical problems which are generated because of stress. Thank you very much, all of you, and a special thanks to Professor Anand Prakash and Dr. Sandeep Vora and our team, which has different psychologists, the IT team, the team of psychologists headed by Divyani, who is sitting by my side. You may not be able to see. And special thanks to the organizers of this webinar, to NHRE Network, which has given us an opportunity to present before you whatever we have, and I'm sure you would like it. We are sending the ID, we are sharing the URL with all of you here.
Thank you, Dr. Saab.
And last but not the least, I would like to thank especially my profuse sense of gratefulness I would like to express for Mr. Dhananjay Singh, who was instrumental in getting this webinar organized, and Mr. Avinash, who was helping at the back end there to make us reach to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Saab. Thanks for sharing their wonderful thoughts, insights. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We look forward to your participations in our future program. Till then, all the best and have a great day. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.